So for the week 7 text vocabulary and check for understanding document on speciation, we're going to start by annotating and highlighting the details that describe what occurs during the process of speciation. And we're also going to stop and pause and answer the embedded reading questions. As we've learned, one common definition for a species is a group of individual organisms that can interbreed, meaning they can mate and reproduce together in nature. So I would highlight that definition of species. This is the definition we will generally use for this class, though we know it's more complicated than that. For example, these happy-faced spiders that you see on page 2 look different in terms of the colors of their bodies, but since they're able to interbreed, they're considered the same species. Speciation is a process by which new species form. It occurs when a group of individuals within a species become isolated or separated from each other and then begin to slowly change and develop into a new species. I would highlight that. The evolutionary tree on the left shows the speciation of the fruit fly. The branching points circled in yellow represent speciation events in which genetic changes result in two different fly species. I would highlight that. But why and how did these speciation events even happen? Keep scrolling and read the steps that are described and illustrated in the comic strip, A Tale of Two Species. But before that, you're going to write in your own words your definition of speciation and speciation event, as well as make a connection, give an example, or ask a question about each one. And then you can answer the check for understanding number 5, where you predict what might cause two groups of individuals to become isolated or separated. You can go ahead and pause and then press play when you're ready to move on. Okay. Sorry, guys. The Tale of Two Species. Step 1. The scene. A population of wild fruit flies is minding its own business on several bunches of rotting bananas, cheerfully laying their eggs in the mushy fruit. That's what we see in this image. Step 2. A disaster strikes. A hurricane washes away the bananas. Okay, so I know that in step 2, something is happening, like a natural disaster. That kind of reminds me of ecological succession, right? A natural disaster happening is just going to cause a major change to either the species that this is impacting or the ecosystem that it lives in. Anyways, a hurricane washes away the bananas and the unhatched fruit flies in them. The baby fruit flies that are in the dead bananas, right? The banana bunch eventually washes up on an island, that's what we see here, off the coast of the mainland, too far away from the flies to even fly to, right? So we see other flies over here, these flies on this new land, way too far to travel. The fruit flies then hatch from the rotten bananas onto the new island. The two portions of the fly population, mainland and inland, are now too far apart to reunite them. Okay, so I know that in step 2, something happens and separates two groups of this population. At this point, speciation has not yet occurred. Any of the fruit flies that somehow got back to the mainland could still mate and produce healthy offspring with the mainland flies. They're not genetically different yet. Step 3, the populations diverge. That means they grow apart from each other. Environmental conditions are slightly different on the island, and the population evolves under different limiting factors and experiences other random events than the mainland population does. Food preferences and mating behaviors show changes over many generations of natural selection. Step 4. So we meet again. When another storm reintroduces the island flies to the mainland, they will not readily mate with the mainland flies since they've evolved different courtship and mating behaviors. The few flies that do mate with the mainland flies produce inviable eggs. That means that they're not able to live because of their genetic differences. I would highlight genetic differences. The fruit fly lineage has split now that genes cannot flow between the two populations. Now make sure you check for understanding number 6. Describe the steps in speciation in your own words, using first, then, next, as a result, and make sure you submit when you're done.